Marvel's Captain America: Brave New World, a movie with a skyrocketing budget, extensive reshoots, and a narrative reportedly plagued by test audience disapproval, is a shining example of the MCU's current struggles. This once dominant cinematic universe now faces audience fatigue, subpar storytelling, and the backlash of overly modernized adaptations. With an estimated $500 million spent and 3 rounds of reshoots, this project highlights a troubling trend: the mishandling of iconic characters and their stories, alienating longtime fans while failing to captivate new audiences. What was once a beloved, reliably profitable franchise has stumbled into a crisis of identity, leaving audiences to wonder, has Marvel lost its way? Reports suggest the Captain America: Brave New World has undergone reshoots so extensive that the film has been effectively shot twice, and even now, just months from release, additional reshoots are underway. Reshoots themselves aren't unusual in Hollywood, but the scope and timing here are alarming. Other notable examples of reshoot-heavy productions: Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness delivered lackluster results, casting doubt on whether this latest Captain America installment can salvage its narrative. Much of the criticism leveled at the film centers on its attempts to modernize the Captain America character. Since Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie, inherited the shield in Avengers: Endgame, Marvel has leaned heavily into identity politics, a divisive decision in the fandom. While there's potential for an insightful exploration of race and representation, it seems Marvel's execution has prioritized messaging over storytelling. This approach mirrors Marvel's divisive, all-new, all-different comic book era, where traditional characters were sidelined for replacements intended to reflect a more progressive ethos. While well-intentioned, these storylines often lack the narrative strength to resonate with audiences, leading to significant backlash. Adapting this material into a $500 million blockbuster was a bold move, one that early test screenings suggest has not paid off. Let's take a closer look at how we got here. Captain America has been an integral part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe since the beginning. Steve Rogers, played by Chris Evans, represented a beacon of hope and heroism, embodying the values that resonated with audiences worldwide. His departure at the end of Avengers: Endgame left a void that Marvel decided to fill by passing the mantle to Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie. At face value, this was a bold, perhaps necessary move. The legacy of Captain America was meant to evolve with the times, but Marvel's execution seems to have been less about honoring that legacy and more about ticking off a checklist of modern talking points. Instead of focusing on character depth or nuanced storytelling, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series leaned heavily into socio-political commentary, often at the expense of compelling narrative. This trend appears to have carried over to Captain America: Brave New World, which now finds itself in a production tailspin. Here's where things start to get messy. Filming initially wrapped in June 2023, narrowly avoiding the writer's strike, but test audiences reportedly rejected 2 versions of the movie outright. Cue reshoots, a lot of reshoots. By the time the dust settled, the movie was reportedly filmed not once, not twice, but 3 times. Why so many rewrites and reshoots? Test audiences were reportedly turned off by the movie's overt messaging. The original script seemed to prioritize pushing a modern agenda rather than delivering a compelling Captain America story. After poor reception to that approach, Disney tried to backpedal, bringing in new elements like the Serpent Society and hiring Giancarlo Esposito as a villain. Yet even with these changes, the movie is still struggling to find its footing. This constant reworking has driven the budget to an astronomical $500 million. For comparison, Avengers: Endgame, a movie that had to tie together over a decade of storytelling, cost about $350 million. That means Brave New World has cost more to make than one of the most ambitious and successful movies in Marvel history. It's not just a production nightmare, it's a financial gamble that seems unlikely to pay off. One of the most baffling decisions Marvel made was sidelining Bucky Barnes, Sebastian Stan, as a potential Captain America. His arc as the Winter Soldier had laid the groundwork for a natural transition into the role. Plus, as a super soldier himself, he has the physical capabilities and thematic weight to carry on Steve Rogers' legacy. Instead, Marvel chose Sam Wilson, a character who, while beloved in his own right, has always been portrayed as a skilled but mortal human. The decision to skip over Bucky in favor of adapting the divisive, all-new, all-different Marvel Comics era has alienated some fans. That era of comics was widely criticized for sidelining beloved characters in favor of replacements that often felt like shallow imitations. Marvel seems to have repeated this mistake on the big screen, ignoring the importance of legacy and the depth of its original characters. Every great superhero movie needs an equally compelling villain. In the case of Captain America: Brave New World, the choice to bring in the Serpent Society initially seemed promising. This group of snake-themed villains has roots in the comics and could have brought a unique flavor to the MCU. The addition of Giancarlo Esposito, a master at portraying complex antagonists, Breaking Bad, The Mandalorian, had fans excited. However, even this casting coup hasn't saved the movie from its muddled vision. The problem? Marvel hasn't fully committed to the Serpent Society as the central antagonist. In trying to pivot away from the overt messaging that test audiences rejected, the studio reportedly shifted focus back to a global stakes narrative. This has created an identity crisis for the film. Is it a grounded Captain America story about espionage and ideological clashes? Or is it a high-concept Marvel spectacle with a shadowy supervillain group pulling the strings? By trying to do both, Brave New World risks doing neither well. Let's talk about Sam Wilson. Anthony Mackie's portrayal of Falcon has always been endearing, but the transition to Captain America has left something to be desired. This isn't a knock on Mackie's performance. It's more a reflection of the lackluster writing around his character. In the comics, Sam's tenure as Captain America was marked by a clear exploration of what it means to step into Steve Rogers' shoes. The challenges were deeply personal, grounded in his identity and the weight of the shield. The MCU hasn't given Sam that same depth. Instead, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier leaned heavily on external conflicts, racism, government overreach, without delving into Sam's inner journey. Now, Brave New World seems poised to repeat the same mistake, framing Sam as a symbol rather than a fully realized character. It's not just Sam's character arc that's underwhelming. The movie has also failed to showcase his unique skill set. One of the most exciting aspects of Sam's Captain America is the way he blends aerial combat with the shield, a style that's visually striking and distinct from Steve Rogers' brawling approach. Early leaks suggest that while there are glimpses of this in the film, they're overshadowed by over-the-top CGI set pieces that dilute the impact of Sam's more grounded combat style. Marvel is at a crossroads. The interconnected storytelling that defined the Infinity Saga has given way to a scattered, often incoherent Phase 4 and 5. Fans are no longer confident that Marvel has a clear plan, and movies like Brave New World are symptomatic of this larger problem. Yet, there's still hope. The MCU has always been at its best when it focuses on character-driven stories with meaningful stakes. If Marvel can course-correct and deliver a movie that feels true to the legacy of Captain America, while offering fresh, engaging storytelling, it might just win back skeptical fans. That's a tall order, especially with Brave New World already facing so many challenges, but it's not impossible.